probably the first time in recent history when we are talking about an environment that has cleaned itself up. Waters are clean, we have blue skies, and we have a lot of much less pollution in the air than we are used to. So I have with me Mr. Rajiv Ranjan Mishra. He's the Director General of the National Mission for Clean Ganga. Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. World Environment Day is very important, and we all know we are going through, the whole world is going through a unprecedented crisis, and then the theme of this Environment Day is also very, very important and significant because it's on biodiversity, and it actually once again reminds us that what is the role of nature and what we should do for nature. River Ganga and in fact entire Ganga basin, I mean not just Ganga, all the tributaries, they play a really major role in our country's culture, our country's social values, and not only that, the economic values and the economic aspects of the river. Namami Gange Mission is not limited to one river. It's looking at the entire basin and in entirety who are the people on the banks of the river, cities, villages, forests, biodiversity, aquatic life, flora, fauna, mountains. So the entire gamut is subject matter of our mission. When we say rejuvenate a river, rejuvenate such a big ecosystem, it's rejuvenating everything put together. People generally think the name is National Mission for Clean Ganga. So cleaning is certainly an important part, but primarily we can say that we are working for pollution abatement of different types, so that's the cleaning part. Then we are also working for improving the ecology of the river, ecology and flow in the river, because without flow no river is really a river. So and then the third thing is improving people river connect through different means, and developing the right source of information with research, with a kind of collection of evidence, so that policy making is more objective and more evidence based on scientific facts and figures.
Today, when there was it's almost as though we hit a stop button and you are able to reset a lot of things. Do you think this has helped you in being able to assess what pollutants came and how those can be mitigated?
So as you rightly said, we have to understand what are the sources of pollution and to what extent they contribute. I mean, what are the so that scientific assessment was done for all the villages and all the towns. Basically urban areas are much more critical because they are densely populated, and then the pollution which comes from the urban areas is very, very significant. However, we have not neglected in this mission even the rural areas. So I think we have done a kind of very good mapping of different sources of pollution, whether it is municipal sewage or industries. So we have done a kind of inventory of industries on the main stem of Ganga. Now we are doing similar thing with Yamuna and other rivers also. So I think that helped us in understanding different sources of pollution and also assessing what is the extent of those pollution.
Which is the polluting agency that is most responsible for the pollution of our river systems?
Sewage or industrial pollution, etc., or solid waste, these are all point sources of pollution, like municipal sewage or this thing. In addition, there are some non-point, maybe open defecation or agricultural runoff, etc. But primarily our attention has been, the assessment has been done mostly for the point sources, and we are trying to do something on non-point also. Sewage is a single largest factor. Generally we say that 70% of the pollution is on account of municipal wastewater or sewage, 20% is by industries, and then remaining is by the municipal solid waste and other kind of things. In terms of volume, industrial pollutants may be less, but in terms of toxicity and the damage they can do to the river is much more higher than organic sources of pollution.
Sir, does this need more policy, or does this need a lifestyle change?
Policies are important because sometimes these policies can also help us in changing our lifestyle. But what is more inherent, what you say lifestyle changes, that's very important because we have to understand the need for doing it. This lockdown, sewage generation has not gone down because we are all, most of the places people are still living, and then the sewage generation is there and sewage treatment plants are working. What has changed? People have not gone to the river bank and industries have been closed. So immediately you see, because you are not going and making the river dirty, the river banks are looking cleaner. We all have to think how we can really continue it.
Does it work if you can get maybe action plans from civil society to work with the administrations to reduce water pollution?
We all know the Versova beach success story. Similarly in Varanasi lots of ghats have been cleaned. So I think it's very important that civil society have to join. What we have to do, we have to facilitate them. So I can give you several examples in Banda, in several places. Sometimes it is official, sometimes it is civil society. And without their involvement, without their ownership of the water body, no official machinery will be able to do a very effective job. So I see lot of potential, and we are actually trying to create a cadre of Ganga Prahari or Ganga Task Force, Ganga Mitra, so many Ganga Vichar Manch, several organizations we have created all along river Ganga, and now we are trying to do it for the other rivers also. And I can tell you they have helped. In fact, they have played a great role in the corona related relief work also now. So so civil society, in my opinion, has to really come out. RWS can play a great role in keeping the, need not be river, they need not go to the bank, that their local water body, if they start owning up, that will help the river also ultimately.
Sir, we noticed that if you're buying a property that overlooks a water body, the units that overlook the water body gets a premium. Now, especially if that is the level of connect people have with water, why not get those developers to also adopt those water bodies or work with the administration to look after the water bodies, whether it's a pond, a lake, a river, and so on.
Often the developers will sell their property saying the river view apartments or Ganga view or Yamuna view apartments, and these kind of things happen everywhere. But see, you are going to earn lot of money because that river is there and the view is beautiful. But if we do not contribute and don't leave it only to the municipal corporation or the local body or the authorities, if we do not contribute, today the property may have much bigger value, it may not retain that value. And not only for the sake of river or the water body's health, it's for our own interest to keep them clean, keep them beautiful, and there are so many examples of that. So in my opinion, what developers must concentrate is to actually adopt some nearby water body, at least consider themselves as a stakeholder in keeping it very healthy. They can actually be just discussed about civil societies. If some people are working well, some of the local people are available, promote them, give them little help. Little capital help can actually motivate them, and they can actually keep lot of work done. So that kind of association has to build up. In addition, I feel they can play a very great role in restraining their own behavior. Often we come across in our sometimes some cases are referred to us for our opinion about demarcation of floodplain and other things in case of some real estate projects also. See, what exactly is the river? River, actually the floodplain, the river bank is part of the river, because in the rainy season the river expands and it takes that land, and actually that helps in rejuvenating the river and recharging the groundwater. Suppose you go and concretize that, and there may be rules, but actually more than just enforcement of rule, we have to understand that if you concretize that floodplain, that river will start losing its health, and then your own property will lose its value. So that's very important. There are few other things I will like to maybe suggest. As we are urbanizing, there will be many more projects coming up in the peri-urban area or or even in the part of city also. We must go for some sort of in situ treatment plants. Often I have seen that people construct and then actually they throw that sewage into some nearby water body. So I think that itself, the laws prohibit them, but still these things happen. So I think that's something which we have to really look at. Have a kind of good planning, have a rainwater harvesting structure. I mean, try to make that colony, that township as much self-sufficient in terms of water conservation, energy conservation as possible. Don't overload the trunk infrastructure of the city, because that's already burdened.
Is there something that the ULBs can do in terms of water management?
We are working on developing a kind of very robust integrated urban water management system. See what is happening, the water audit or water balance is very important. What we have tried to do with the help of National Institute of Urban Affairs, we are trying to develop a kind of planning process for river cities. Some time back we had a National Ganga Council meeting chaired by Honorable Prime Minister, and he also opined that the river cities need a different way of looking at them and the planning for them. Normally our master plan does not give that kind of prominence to this kind of water aspects, like how water comes and how water goes. So we are working to develop that kind of doctrine and that kind of a strategy which will be acceptable. I will in brief I will tell you, we have to look at the rainwater, how much rainwater we get. And as you all know, the rains have become unpredictable. We very easily think that we will draw water from the river, but the main source is rain. Number one. Number two, you have to basically look at the groundwater recharge, because often due to construction, the real estate or even public construction, we damage the floodplains and then the groundwater recharge gets lost. And then you have to look at what exactly sewerage, how much sewage water, the municipal wastewater is generated, how you are treating. And then for the treatment, we have done some new things, like the treatment becomes performance oriented. We have brought some PPP into that, hybrid annuity has been brought. But yes, let's look at that. Can we reuse this treated wastewater? Where we can reuse? Gardening, horticulture, parks, public space. So I think so many places we can actually do that kind of very clear analysis. When I say urban river management plan, we are actually looking at all of them very holistically. Then okay, there may be industries in the city. Then what happens to industrial wastewater? Can this treated sewage be used by the industry? Let industry don't use fresh water. Slowly we are going to that regime that they will not be given fresh water, so that you will save fresh water for drinking purpose and other needs. So when you look at the entire urban river management plan, the river front can be, if good, well managed, can be a best possible public place for you. Suppose you have a lake and you preserve the biodiversity. We have several lakes in urban settings, they are abused. So we are also actually developing a kind of toolkit for urban managers for management for protection of wetlands. So the urban setting integrated water management will have several aspects which I just narrated very briefly, and we have to do that. Then only in the long term perhaps the water bodies will be sustainable, and then otherwise, you know, I mean, we abuse them, and we all know the same city does not have drinking water, but the same city also have urban floods.
Right. So we have a very sensitive, eco-sensitive zone across the country, from Kerala to all the way to Maharashtra, where you have that entire Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. And we've seen that just over extraction of water, not managing our forests, and so on. We've had so many calamities all along that, whether it is Navi Mumbai, whether it is Kerala, and so on. Does the urban water management plan also include these areas? Because we've got wetlands, we've got mangroves, we've got all kinds of vegetation that needs to be protected.
Often in these places, I have found you don't have the right kind of information. So I think you have to build up a good inventory of information database for such a kind of larger area, and it's not very difficult because several reports already there. And you have now GIS, you have modern technology to do it very fast. But as I will again repeat, it all requires people to give priority to these things. And if we give this priority, the solutions are very much possible.
I think that people have already seen how beautiful our water bodies can be. And it was almost as though nature showed us what was its potential. It's up to us to protect that.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Please subscribe to Magic Bricks on YouTube and click the bell icon to get new videos.